Star Wars Tabletop Gaming is proudly supported by Gatekeeper Games, your key to gaming unplugged, a tabletop games store offering a friendly atmosphere for people to buy and play their games in the north of Fitzroy. Welcome to episode 13 of Star Wars Tabletop Gaming. In today's episode, I want to talk about the future expansions we should be expecting from FFG, kind of my thoughts on what we have coming up, and my predictions, and kind of a bit of wish listing as well, because why not? The two tools we have today are the rulebook shot here, where we have the 5 different types of unit, specifically the Special Forces, and Imperial Assault. We'll be looking at all the Imperial Assault releases that we've had over the last few years, and what that hints at future units that we should expect from FFG. So we'll go through them. We'll go through them all. Stick with me. I'll try and be as quick as possible, and we'll see if we can't deduce what we should expect with our first few expansions from Star Wars Legion. First up, we have the original core release of Imperial Assault. Amazing set, and they released all kinds of units. So here, of note, you've obviously got the ATSD, so we always knew that was coming. Things that we might see in Legion are the probe droid. I'd love to see kind of a recon scout unit of probe droids. And we've also got the Royal Guard, which is really cool. In a future expansion, they release a Royal Guard character, but while we won't probably see Palpatine on the battlefield, I'd love to see kind of a squad of Royal Guards or a Royal Guard champion, a leader of some type, taking up the cause, because I know that Palpatine sent them out to accomplish certain missions and certain cool stuff, and I'd love to see that on the tabletop. We also have, look, Imperial officers. We have that E-Web emplacement, which we might see. That'd be cool. The Rebels are doing their own thing over there, but we'll get onto them a little more later on. So, the core set and what we should expect from it. Next up, we have the original Luke and Vader that got released with the set. Now, obviously, we already have our Luke and Vader for Legion, so we don't have to worry about whether they're going to get released or not. But it does show, so FFG released a Jedi Knight version of Luke later on in their release schedule, years later. And it just shows that in Legion, we should definitely expect different versions of characters, although I dare say Vader and Luke will keep us going for a long time. All right, here we go. So now we start to get into the good stuff. So we've got General Weiss, or Weiss, in his altered ATSD, which is super cool. And we also have all kinds of things. We've got IG-88, we've got Han and Chewie. Here's the Royal Guard commander on the bottom right there that I was talking about. And the Rebel saboteurs up the top above those Rebel troopers. And they're kind of their ship-based Rebel troopers. So things that we might see out of this set. Now, bounty hunters I'll talk a little bit more on later, but that Royal Guard commander, I'd love to see some kind of representation of that on the battlefield. Han and Chewie, I think, are almost a definite. Whether they come as a package, that'd be cool. So a kind of 2-model leader unit. What a good idea, FFG. Maybe you should think about that. Or whether they come individually, that'd be fine. But a general solo kind of model is inevitable, surely, within the next 12 months. The Rebel Saboteurs, it's kind of a theme that they've got going on. And what I'd like to see, so that you would have seen before the different unit types, what we don't have for either side is a Special Forces unit. So I think some Rebel Commandos with some Rebel Saboteurs and some Rebel Rangers and all kinds of different ideas that Imperial Assault has put out there, kind of combined into this Rebel Commando unit for some Special Forces. Whether they're snipers or demolitions experts or whatever, I'd just like to see some elite Rebels running around. And obviously the painting and modeling opportunities for those would be absolutely epic. So my guess, if I had to make one, was the first Rebel troop or kind of Rebel expansion that we'll see will be a Rebel Commando unit. Big call, I know, but I don't know. I'm willing to throw it out there and see what happens. So they need to fill that Special Forces slot, and I can't think of anything more appropriate to go in there than some Rebel Commandos. Some alt Rebel Troopers would be pretty cool for sticking on Tantivs and whatnot, spaceship maps, but probably not very likely in the near future. All right, now we start to get interesting. So we've got a Boba Fett in this next Imperial Assault. So we know that they care a lot about that side of Star Wars. Both X-Wing and Imperial Assault have their own kind of mercenary or scum and villainy factions. I don't know if we'll see a scum and villainy faction initially for Legion, But I do think we'll see either maybe a mercenary and bounty hunter unit for the Imperials, maybe a hired guns kind of unit, or we'll see individual leaders coming as bounty hunters. Whether they'll be interactive as actual leaders and give orders, or more just kind of a leader unit that kills things, we'll have to wait and see. I don't think we're going to see a Tusken Raider. That's a Rebel guerrilla up the top there, so I think that's another good point towards Rebel Commandos. Special Stormtrooper unit down the bottom left there. I think we'll see some kind of Stormtrooper leader in the near future as a release to make a bit of a cheaper leader. And the droids. We'll talk more about droids in a minute. All right, Wookiees. Wookiee. Oh, we have the high guns. We'll start with high guns because that's simple. They go kind of that mercenary flavor. That's the Nemoidians, I think, on the left there. I think we'll see a hired gun mercenary unit for the Imperials, but the Wookiees is what I'm really excited about here. I'm pretty sure we will see a Wookiee unit, a dedicated Wookiee unit that will be all about their bowcasters and their big knife thingies. I'm sure there's a proper name. I should know it. I was listening to some Wookiee audiobook the other day. I'm sure it was mentioned, but whatever. Wookiees are awesome. Things like Star Wars Rebellion, Destiny, there's a big Wookiee theme. And the Wookiee theme is that they're strong, they like to kill stuff, and they like to blow stuff up. So another Special Forces unit that could contend with the Rebels Commandos that we might see is a dedicated Wookiee Rebel unit. And that would just be so cool. Possibly led by Chewbacca. No, that's too much. That's too hopeful. But an all Wookiee army, ugh, I'm getting tingles. Think of the conversions. Amazing. Right, next. Here we just have a smuggler and a bantha riding Tusken. So, I don't think we're going to see Tusken Raiders, but the smuggling thing is interesting for the Rebels. So, for the whole rebellion and the idea of it, smugglers were super important. I mean, Han Solo is obviously a smuggler himself. So, I'd be very surprised if smugglers didn't interact with Legion in some way. I know it's a larger scale and it's more about war and battles and kind of frontline army units, but I'd love to see a smuggler leader who had some kind of maybe aircraft support, or he added resources in some way to your army, or they had access to better weapons. There's plenty of stuff that FFG could do with an idea of a smuggler and the way they help the rebellion. Banthas, we might see, or Dewbacks, as Imperial Assault miniature. Another one's riding a Dewback. I'd love to see the Rebellion or the Imperials come out with something riding a beast of some sort, because that's a theme that runs through Star Wars, and something that would look really cool on a table, as opposed to just speeder bikes. Next up, oh, here's one of my favorite. It is the SC2M repulsor tank in the top right there. And as you can see, it's not that big. So it's kind of, I would say it's AT-RT level of power. Maybe you could get away with that as opposed to AT-ST level of power. So that could be another support unit as opposed to another heavy unit that the Imperials could get in the near future. Because I dare say we're going to see kind of 2 support units for every heavy unit that we see come out for the sides, because they're about a third of the points cost and half the price. So that makes a lot of sense. So I'd love to see some kind of repulsor tank, either for the Imperials or the Rebels. Either or, they both use various repulsor tanks. We'll just have to wait and see. Another interesting thing that was released, this is kind of the Hoth expansion that Imperial Assault came out with, is the Snowtrooper. While I would love to see a Snowtrooper release for Legion, I just don't think it's going to happen. You're going to be playing on a whole bunch of tables, and if you're in some kind of swamp map or desert map, Snowtrooper is going to look well out of place. Personally, I'd do up a snow army and just play on my snow battlefield because that'd be sick, and I think the miniatures and the theme of snowtroopers are amazing, but it just doesn't really make sense, does it? So it'll be interesting to see if FFG do come out with geography-specific troopers. Maybe they will. There'll be conversion kits, maybe. I don't know. I'm hoping they will because the miniatures are amazing, but I'm dubious. Another thing here is assassin droids. That's an assassin droid on the bottom right there. I don't think we'll be seeing too many droids, but a little assassin droid unit would be super cool. And you see them all over various, Star Wars TV shows and movies. Assassin droids are a big thing. And we know that the Sith were into using these assassin droids, so that could definitely be an option. Other things in here, we've got Rebels, we've got a medical droid. Droids. All right, I won't quite get into droids yet. I'll leave that for a little later on. But I think droids will have to interact with the game because droids are such a huge part of Star Wars. And then you've got the big beast thingy up the top left. I don't see anything like that. Imagine like an Imperial beast herder unit. That'd be cool. Unlikely. All right, I couldn't get miniatures for this wave. I just got the box pictures. But here we've got Leia, we've got some Echo-based troopers, just like the Hoth snowtroopers. We've got Dengar, another bounty hunter, and General Soren. So the General Soren proves that FFG is willing to kind of not, I don't know if he's made up, but certainly delve into having more generic kind of Imperial officers. So I think within the first few months, we'll definitely see generic Imperial and Rebel leaders for 80 to 100 points, maybe a lot cheaper than Darth Vader and Luke that we use to lead our forces, but not be powerhouses in their own. Maybe use them to kind of give bonuses to troops more so, give more flexible orders that aren't based around their miniature so much. I definitely see that happening. Dengar as a leader, that'd be cool. I'm more of a Boba man myself, but each to their own. And Leia. Leia is definitely going to be on the table. Within the first 12 months, if we don't see a Leia miniature, I will eat my shoe. All right, next up we have the Bespin expansion. FFG got really random and interesting here. So we have a Force operative. Is it Nighthawk or Hawk Raven? I don't know, something like that. We have an Intelligence Master doing his own kind of thing there down the bottom right. We have an Ugnaught Tinkerer. Love my Ugnaughts. And Wingguard, which were kind of up the top left. That's the Bespin Home Guard, I guess you could describe them as. And they're counted as mercenaries within the game. I like to talk about the Ugnaught here because now we start to see the Rebel influences as well, the Rebel, the TV show, come through. Some engineers or tinkerers or droid mechanics, whatever you want to call them. I'd love to see some kind of Rebel unit based around that has a few of these tinkerers, mechanics, engineers, whatever you want to call them, and a bunch of droids fighting together and kind of repairing as they went and doing interesting things there. The Intelligence Master, it would be kind of cool, or a cool idea as more of a support character. So not so much a leader, but one that gives benefits. All right. On the Bespin theme, here we go. So we've got Lando. I feel we'll have to see a Lando miniature. He gets deep into the rebellion. We've got Bosk, another bounty hunter, but the interesting ones here is the ISB, the Imperial Security Bureau, infiltrators and an interrogator character there. The audiobook I'm listening to at the moment has a lot about the ISB, and I think they're a big part of Star Wars once you start to delve into the expanded universe, and I'd love to see an ISB unit on the table as some special forces for the Imperials. Essentially, sneaking behind enemy lines, subverting enemy troops, lowering morale, targeting key weaknesses, assassinating, all that kind of cool stuff. Getting enemy intelligence, all kind of cool options that I feel the ISB could really exploit and thematically use on the table. So ISB Special Forces, I don't know if we will see them, but I think it's a really good idea for FFG to release them as a unit. All right, moving on. We're getting through them. Yeah, we're starting to get to the more recent ones now. So here we see the first official Rebels character, the Grand Inquisitor on the left there. So FFG have shown that they're really interested in the original trilogy, Rogue One, the new saga, and Rebels. Not so much the prequels. We'll talk a bit more about that at the end. So Grand Inquisitor, imagine him on the table leading some forces. Maybe not. That might be a bit of a stretch because he'd be a bit out of place leading. Oh, maybe not. No, I guess he'd be just fine leading stormtroopers. So the Grand Inquisitor was originally a guardian at the Jedi Temple and then turned. In the Rebel series, spoilers. Turn off now if you want. He gets killed, or we think he gets killed. He drops to his death, maybe. We've got Obi-Wan. I'd love to see a General Obi-Wan kind of theme in his younger days, leading some troops. That'd be amazing. Will we see that? I don't think so. And obviously, an old Obi-Wan wouldn't be appropriate to lead into battle. Ooh, okay. Moving on. We've got to keep it snappy. We've got a lot to cover. Here's the big one that I'm excited about. And the first one that I think we're going to see on the Imperial side is Jetpack Troopers. That guy floating above the edge, above the other models there, Stormtroopers with jetpacks. It is guaranteed we'll see these in the first 12 months, surely. Super cool, all throughout the fluff. Why wouldn't you want flying Stormtroopers? A lot going on here. The other one I'll talk about is probably the Mandalorian we see there up the front. I think Mandalorians are going to play some kind of role. They're such a militant, armed kind of force. I'd be so surprised if we don't see them represented in Legion in some description. So FFG have shown they love their Mandalorians. The new Rebels TV show, the new season, I should say, is all about Mandalorians. So look, at least a unit fighting for the Rebels or the Imperials. I don't know. You could do either or, maybe both. That'd be interesting as they have their interesting little civil war going on. Mandalorians coming to Legion. You heard it here first. All right, all kinds of stuff going on here. So we have the Rebel, maybe they're Rebel Commandos up the top right there. I'm not sure, but we have the Dewback Riders. So that's cool. We have we have Hera once again Rebels coming to the forefront. We've now got specific Rebels characters coming through, and droids. Lots more droids. These are like the evil version of C-3PO and R2-D2. So I'd love to see droids as an upgrade that you can give to your leaders that have little miniature representations that give them bonuses. I think that'd be really cool, and something that FFG should take advantage of there. The Rebels up the top there just showed that a Rebels commando unit would be so appropriate. Jabba, we're not going to see Jabba, unless, I don't know, we might see a hut of some description if another kind of Black Sun or Mercenary Scum and Villainy faction gets released. Never say never. And that's a knight version of Luke we've got on the left there. We've already got him for Legion, so that's just fine. Jawas, I don't think we'll see Jawas. They're looking out for themselves. Ooh, okay. Now we're getting into really good stuff. So this is the Coruscant specific. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the Coruscant specific kind of expansion that's coming out soon. I don't think it's out yet. What do we have? We have a Wookiee special character with some serious explosives going on there. Noted. Very cool. Very appropriate. We've got more kind of like, that's an assassin. I think she's actually in the prequels, I think, that character up the front. But she's also in the expanded universe, so take that for what it is. What I really like here is the ATDP. I think we'll definitely see an ATDP. I don't know size-wise how big they are compared to ATSD, but I think FFG could get away with making them a little bit smaller, or at least cost a little less, because their armaments aren't as plentiful, I guess, and their armors, by the looks of it, a little bit weaker. I also want to talk about that Riot Stormtrooper. Riot Stormtroopers would be so sick with a big shield and their riot batons. It'd be a really different kind of unit compared to your regular Stormtrooper unit, and something that FFG could be interesting with. Those riot batons are powerful, by the way. In Destiny, I think it's the Z6, causes serious damage. That's another kind of battle droid that we've got in the middle there. I can't remember the exact name for it, but I think we'll definitely see some kind of Imperial droid unit that'll be more based towards killer battle droids as opposed to support droids that the Rebels might be using. But and what else? We've got special Rebel characters just doing their Rebel thing. I don't know. They don't really scream specific units for me, but ideas for different leaders, and once again hinting towards that Rebel Commando kind of idea, and that Wookiee hinting towards a full Wookiee unit. It's coming. It's definitely coming. ATDP, I think we need to see it on the table. I guess, we probably don't need another heavy unit for another 6 months or so I wouldn't expect that in the near future, but if the Imperials were to get another heavy, my money would be on that thing, unless they want to bring a flyer into a game. I don't know. We'll just wait and see. And this really drives home the point that FFG is all about the Rebels TV show at the moment. This is Maul, not Darth Maul, it should be noted. Maul, the Vengeful One. This is kind of post escaping out of the Emperor's clutches. And you've got Ahsoka there as well. That's older Ahsoka once she's left the Jedi Temple and grown up and rebelling in her own separate way, joining the rebellion. So we'll definitely see, or maybe not definitely, but I would be very surprised if we didn't see Rebels units represented in Legion in various ways, because it kind of matches that original trilogy timeline, and also a lot more to play with. The Emperor. It'd be really interesting if we saw the Emperor on the battlefield. He obviously has really unique abilities with his Force Lightning and how he influences soldiers around him, which gets talked on a lot in the expanded universe. But I mean, would he be in a battle skirmish? Probably not. Maybe larger games. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I personally would love to get the Emperor onto the table. So that is all of the Imperial Assault releases that we've had so far. So it kind of gives us an idea of what FFG likes to put out as miniatures, what eras they like to focus on, what characters they're interested in, and that gives us hints for what units we'll probably be seeing in the near future on the tabletop, unless of course they go completely left field and do different stuff, which, look, is an option as well. Maybe they've already done this and they feel like they have to do something different. All the power to them. What you'll notice you didn't see there is you didn't see many, if any, prequel units, miniatures, characters. FFG just don't seem to be interested in it. I've done a bit of digging, and it seems they do have the license to all of Star Wars. It's a bit of a rumor that floats around every now and again that FFG don't actually have the licenses to the prequel kind of IP. I'm pretty sure they do, but they just don't seem to be interested in it. They've stated in various interviews and conferences that the prequels don't interest them. They don't think there's a market for it. They don't think the gamers want it. You'll note in X-Wing, like you don't have Naboo fighters flying around, and X-Wing has gone deep into Rogue One and deep into Rebels long before it's even touched. Well, it's never touched on prequel ships, I don't think. Feel free to point me out in how wrong I am in the comments. So don't expect to see droid armies. Disappointing, I know. Don't expect to see clone troopers. I don't think FFG are going to go prequel. So keep that in mind with your hopes and expectations. Original trilogy, new saga, rebels. That's kind of where I think the units and characters are going to come from. And you know what? I'm just fine with that. There's a lot of cool stuff in the prequels, but if I saw a Jar Jar miniature on the table, I feel like I'd vomit in my mouth a little. So hopefully this has given you a bit of an idea on what we should expect in the next few months after the Legion release, which is so close now. February, we're all hoping February. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and may the Force be with you.